Your burning questions answered by Stands on Sapphires. Right here, right now. Question 1. How are you all so handsome?
Thank you.
Thank you, my mother. Oh.
You're such a handsome boy.
Question 1.
No, you gotta do the intro.
I thought that was a fine intro. You didn't like my intro?
Thank you to all of our subscribers who sent in questions. We did do a subscriber-only questions, and now we're here to answer them for you. So, let's get started.
Yeah.
Question 1 from Stephen H. Stephen asks, do you have a favorite song to perform live?
We do. Thank you for your question.
Next question.
Dave asks.
For me, like, I think we may have talked about this before, but Kiss the Ring is surprisingly really fun to play live. It was one of those songs that on the album, it kind of took a while to come together, and we kind of did some things to kind of alter it and rewrite it, and I really struggled with the lyrics, but when we were done recording it and we went to jam the whole album together, we played that song and we were all like, was that like really fun?
Yeah.
Was that like a really good song to play? And it just became a pretty fun song. How about you guys?
I like Not Like Before.
Yeah.
It's just, there's so much energy and it's like pretty difficult to play, which is also fun. And it's like, am I going to hit these parts? But it's just, it's like super high energy. There's a lot of stuff going on in it. Yeah, it feels really good to nail it.
Yeah, I think those two are probably my answer, but if I had to pick something different, I'd probably say For the Fight, just because it is a good kind of closer song. It's really fun when we played in Japan, just having like dead silent coming in with the riff, like people really vibed hard with that. So yeah, I think that's probably my other favorite, but I think Kiss the Ring and Not Like Before are probably the most fun.
Especially when you open with Not Like Before.
Especially when you open with the hardest song they had to play. No warm-up, let's just do it.
All right,
Cool.
Thank you for your question, Stephen. Next question comes from Dave L, and Dave has several questions for us. So first question is, when will the new album be out? What kind of songs will it consist of? And when will we expect the first single released?
All right, so I think we've kind of been vocal about this, that the new album will be out, when it is done. It will be next year, we can say that, but we're not putting a firm deadline on ourselves because we want to, imagine this, enjoy writing. Unlike last time with Inviting Warfare, I think we're at a much healthier pace this time and we're all actually enjoying it, but the fruits of it are very awesome and I think we're all very excited about the stuff we're writing. Songs will consist of, we'll release a video in the new year to discuss kind of the concept of the album and give you an update on the track numbers, but it's pretty much a refined sound of what you know and love already. So if you like For the Fight, Never Getting In, that kind of stuff, it's going to be awesome. And it's also our heaviest album ever, so get ready for that. Singles, we want to. We're planning on probably doing at least 2 or 3, stretching it out a bit more in the lead up to launch, but we are gonna wait to release the album until we hopefully find someone who can help us market it a bit. If you want to hear the album early, join our Patreon.
Yeah.
They are going to hear it as soon as it's done.
Yeah.
But other than that, we are going to be probably sitting on it a bit. So again, we can't really say when the first single is going to be released, but just know there will be one.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Get ready.
Get ready.
Get ready, 'cause it's coming.
So Dave also asked, what rock and metal bands influenced you, and which groups do the members of the band currently listen to?
I was influenced a lot by Dream Theater, specifically, like learning how to play, and they're someone that shaped a lot of like what I like to do. Right now, the people that I listen to that probably influence me the most, I mean, we're influenced by everything we listen to, but I really like Pliny, the Australian guitar player. He's one of my favorite bassists, and I really like what he does. And then I also recently started getting into a band called Night Verses, which is like this crazy instrumental band, and they have like really, really unique ideas on how they approach it, with their technicality kind of being more in terms of like effect based instead of like playing bass, so they released a new album that I've like really been liking recently.
What were they called again?
Night Verses.
Night Verses.
I'm checking out this week.
That's awesome.
The album is called "Every Sound Has a Color in the Valley of Night."
Wow.
And so I was like, I am too priced into that to not like it.
That is a Wade album title if I've
that's
ever.
incredible. That's awesome. How about you?
I just did all the talking. You go next.
Ironically, when we started making music, I actually stopped listening to music as much as I used to. I used to listen to music a lot more. The bands that influenced me specifically are actually not even necessarily rock and metal bands. I do love bands like, Skillet and in this moment, Maria Brink's an amazing singer. I usually talk about her, but I really also love kind of like indie EDM rock, like indie, I don't even know what genre to call it, like bands like Passion Pit, which sound literally nothing like anything we write, but I just love the way that they take their vocals and the layers of their music and they just make...
I think it's called Indie-tronic.
Indie-tronic. Yeah. No, that's...
Because I listen to that too.
You listen to Indie-tronic too, right? So I'm very influenced by like...
I think it's
genre.
I think. Genres are a social construct.
They are. Anyway, yes, so I'm definitely influenced by a little bit more different stuff than that. Actually, we went to see TSO last weekend, and they have such amazing singers that kind of sing like bluesy rock style, and I think that's a huge inspiration for me. So now I find myself being like, how do I sing like bluesy, gravelly rock? Yeah, anyway, that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I have influences as a player, I have influences as like a writer, and I have influences as a mixer too. For me as a player, my two biggest are Nuno Bettencourt and John Petrucci. John Petrucci also goes into the writing category as far as our band, because Dream Theater is a huge influence for both Wade and I. Extreme, Nuno Bettencourt's band, is maybe not as much of an influence in my writing style, but as far as like the riffs I play and stuff, he's probably my number one. Bands I've been listening to a lot recently on this album is definitely, obviously, Dream Theater. I think Periphery's definitely influenced a lot of this album. I've been listening to a lot of a Japanese composer who I love and have loved for years, named Hiroyuki Sawano. You might know him from like shows like Attack on Titan, but he's done tons of stuff, and he's been a huge influence for me on this album as far as my compositions and arrangements. But yeah, the list goes on, but that's probably the main ones. Also a lot of J-Rock. We listen to a lot of J-Rock, so Cold Rain, My First Story, that kind of thing is obviously up there as well.
Thanks for your question, Dave. Okay, Rick asks, when and how did you get your dog, Dante? Come here, buddy. Come here. Oh, so we got Dante a few months after Trevor and I got married. So we got married in 2015, and I moved to Canada later, August 2015. And so then in November of that year, we picked him up on our way home from America.
He's not stopping me. He's determined.
And we bought him as a puppy from a Craigslist ad. Met some lady in a mall parking lot, picked him up.
Yeah, 2-hour detour.
2-hour detour just to get this little fuzzy guy. And yeah, he's been a huge joy in our life for the last 8 years. He's a good old dog. Bonus question that you didn't ask, but we're going to answer anyway, is where does his name Dante come from? Because we get asked that a lot. Trevor, over to you.
I'd like to think it's from, the famous books of
Dante Alighieri.
Yeah, Inferno, Paradiso, but it is not. It is from the video game Devil May Cry, because the main character is awesome, and we also just thought that was a really awesome name for a dog.
All right, so last question is from Bianca J. So Bianca wants to know, how do you deal with playing on stage, being nervous, having many emotions, and can you give me some advice? That's
good question.
A great question, Bianca. I'm going to be perfectly honest, I don't know that there is any one-size-fits-all advice for something like this. I can speak from my perspective as a vocalist. The only way I got over my stage fright, and first of all, I want to know that I still get nervous. I think almost all artists still get nervous. Human. It's just human nature. But I never started to get over it until I believed in myself and I built up my own confidence. And I felt like I could do the song that I was getting on stage to sing. There's really no shame in maybe making a mistake because I'm a human being. That really helped me get over my nerves. And like I said, I still have them. But when you believe in yourself and you know you can do it and you have that confidence in your back pocket, it doesn't really, like the fears kind of fade into the background and you can just enjoy being there in the moment and performing your art. Just enjoy it.
Yeah, I think like I've been playing on stage for many years, both in bands and at many different churches and things, and the best advice is just do it. But I also have a lot of other advice that has helped me. One thing would be embrace the fear and maybe the nerves a bit, because it's what makes you human. And if you try to run from that and just be like, oh, I can't be nervous when I'm about to do this, like you're actually just going to become more nervous. So if you just be like, take a breath, yeah, I'm nervous, but so is everybody else when they do this. It really makes it not seem so bad. And another thing would be, you are the most critical for your own performance, basically. No one else is noticing your mistakes. You may think they do, but there's been times when I played on stage and made, quite frankly, some pretty bad blunders and nobody even noticed. So you are obviously going to hear every mistake you make because you're paying the most attention to yourself. But even the other members of the band probably won't even hear it because they're paying attention to themselves. So, and the crowd doesn't even know, most of them probably don't even know like musical theory or how to play. So they're not looking for that. They're just looking to have a good time. So just don't even worry about it. And last, this funny piece of advice that Eddie Van Halen gave me is only a mistake if you do it once. Do it again, and they're going to think it's artistic.
Yep.
So I think that my advice is kind of a culmination of what Trevor and Bethany were saying. I find that like I still get nervous when I go up on stage, but I know just because of practicing that I know I can do it. And so even if your brain starts to like be like, oh no, like what's going to happen, muscle memory just kicks in, and then you can go from there. So that's super helpful. And then another thing is like trying to figure out why you're nervous, and usually the reason is like you're afraid of making a mistake, which if you kind of look at it logically, like one mistake is not really that big of a deal all the time. And if you picture yourself in an audience and if you saw one else, and even like though most of the mistakes, as Trevor pointed out, people don't notice, if you saw a performer and they did make a mistake, are you gonna say like, oh, I hate this person? No. Like, how dare they do that? Like, no, you're going to be like, oh, they just made a mistake, right? Like,
they're
that
human.
happens to everybody because they're human. And everyone is going to look at you the same way.
Yeah.
So they'll all afford you, you know, that level of experiencing the human condition together, right?
We saw Dream Theater like a few weeks ago, and like there's a solo that JP like totally blew like a part of it. And I was actually stoked on it because I was like, "Oh my gosh, he made a mistake. He's a human being." We saw Polyphia and Tim Henson's guitar cables got yanked out of his guitar, and he just laughed and picked it up and kept going. And like that, none of us were like, "Oh man, that was such a bad show," because of that. We're like, "Oh, that's awesome." The audience like laughed with him because like we're all human.
Yeah,
and we're just there to have a good time.
It actually can be endearing for people to see you make a mistake because it reminds them, just like what Wade said, like we're all human, right?
Yep.
Great question. Hope that was helpful for you, Bianca.
Cool.
Bonus questions or information we want to share?
No, I think we're good.
We'll save it for the next one. Thanks so much for
sending questions.
For sending them in. We enjoyed doing this, and you know, in the future, we'd love to do it again. So start thinking about those hard-hitting, or maybe not, questions for us, and
Yes, and for those of you that have so many questions or you just want to talk to us on a more regular basis, we do ask you to please consider joining our Gems Family Fan Club that happens through our Patreon. We talk regularly on Discord, we answer questions, we have seasonal virtual hangouts where we just talk and answer questions like this for an hour. And we also are giving free previews to our new album. So they've already heard a demo from every single song on the album. So if that sounds like something you'd be into, and also because you love us and you want to support us because we're all handsome and adorable, head on over to patreon.com/standsonsapphires. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.